Hello, coolers. Welcome to Viva Barca and welcome to this special episode. Special because we are going to be analyzing our transfer window overall, talking about the incomings, analyzing the outgoings, a summary of how successful Barcelona have been in this transfer window. And I'll also need you guys to also drop in your comments down below on how you saw the transfer window. Yesterday was deadline day. Of course, some few deals were being struck yesterday deadline day, like Hector Bellerin. Marcos Alonso came. Aubameyang sealing his move to Chelsea. Many other things. We are going to be doing a summary of every single thing, for the 3 months transfer window, how successful it was. So without talking too much, as we get right into it, if you haven't subscribed, please make sure to subscribe. If you're a lover of FC Barcelona, consider liking the video and of course watch it right up to the very end. The 2022 summer transfer window, I think the longest in history, has officially closed in the top leagues in Europe. And what a window that was for Barcelona. What a window it was for us. Of course, we made a whole lot of big moves throughout the transfer period, and several of them on deadline day to completely transform that squad into the image of manager Xavi Hernandez. So in this episode, we are going to be, talking about or summarizing both the incomings and the outgoings for the 2022-23 season. So in course of talking about the transfer, if I do miss anything, please, you can let me know in the comment section below. So let's begin with the incomings. Of course, incomings brought us the highest joy. Robert Lewandowski, Bayern Munich. The price, 45 million plus 5 million in add-on, making a grand total of 50 million in that Lewandowski operation. Of course, Lewandowski, I think, was one of the highest transfers that gave Barca fans joy. Being a superstar that he is and knowing the kind of caliber of player that Lewandowski is. Of course, his time at Bayern, the goals he scored, and the fact that Xavi and Laporta succeeded in getting Lewandowski was a great success. And also coupled with the fact that Lewandowski have been pushing for a move for Barca ever since and making it clear, going publicly, talking against his club Bayern, that he does not like the fact that they're trying to keep him. He wants to leave. And after a very, very long time waiting, Bayern finally succumbed and sold Lewandowski to Barcelona. Then secondly, Rafinha from Leeds United, a grand total of 68 million euros. That is 58 million plus 10 million in add-ons. Of course, Rafinha's own was even more dramatic because Chelsea was also strongly linked, and Chelsea were very, very close to signing Rafinha because they even had reached a total agreement with Leeds before Barca did. So it was like a mystery, right? Chelsea were so disappointed because Barcelona overtook them to sign Rafinha. Rafinha was linked to Barca for a very long time, we quite remember, and seeing the way he was the main man there at Leeds United, and also he had that clause in his contract that if Leeds were to be relegated that season, then Rafinha could have come to Barca for just 25 million. His clause could have been more cheaper, but unfortunately, Leeds United survived the Premier League, and guess what? Ironically, Rafinha was the one who even really helped the team to stay because he scored an important penalty to keep the team on the final day of the Premier League. So it was something that was, was shocking. But it seemed as though Barca couldn't have signed Rafinha because Barca, as we all know, haven't been financially healthy. So it seemed as though the deal for Rafinha back then was impossible because his clause now could have been 60 something million euros. Something that Barca at that time they couldn't afford to pay. But when Barca started activating their economic levers, trying to see how things could work out, it made them to pay for Rafinha, overtook Chelsea in the race after Chelsea had already come to an agreement with Leeds United. So it was a great signing because what Rafinha is doing now at the club, I think he's doing a great job, and I think more to come for Rafinha in our team. Then thirdly, Jules Koundé from Sevilla, a deal grand total 60 million euros, 50 million plus 10 million euros in variables or add-ons. Another great signing, if you ask me. Jules Koundé is a world-class centre-back. His debut, we saw the other day against Real Valladolid. I think it was great. He started at right back. Xavi used him at right back, but eventually when Araujo left the pitch, I think he went out to the centre back, which he played so well. There was no complaints, no cap. He was good that night. Jules Koundé, another transfer that was a highly contested one between Barcelona and Chelsea. Chelsea and Barca had a lot of tussle when it comes to certain players. Koundé was one of them. Of course, Koundé's transfer was not easy at all. It wasn't an easy one because he was also close to going to Chelsea. And of course, Sevilla were very open to selling him because Sevilla themselves are financially struggling, so they had to sell him. So after a long time talking about Koundé being linked to Barcelona, Barca officially won the race and he came. And also for the fact that unlike Rafinha, Koundé was not like, I want to go to Barca, I want to go to Barca. Koundé was open. If Chelsea could have paid more, Koundé could have gone to Chelsea. But Barca were smart. They were fast in the race and we did sign him. Then the next, Pablo Torre from Racing Santander in a deal worth 5 million euros plus 20 million euros in future add-ons. Of course, Pablo Torre was signed from Racing Santander, a great midfielder there. Barca have seen his potential before signing him. Barca did this deal. They were inspired by the fact that the same thing that happened to Pedri, they saw it in Pablo Torre. Torre is a great midfielder, plays similar position to Pedri, and Barca, seeing the way the Pedri case worked out so well, because Pedri was signed from Las Palmas and nobody expected Pedri to be up to the level that he is, playing his first season under Koeman and winning the best young player in the world. So Barca saw something similar to Pablo Torre and had to go for him. And the idea was Pablo Torre should come and he will play for the B team, for the reserves. Then in the future, he will be integrated to the senior side. That was exactly the same plan that Barca had for Pedri. But Pedri was so good to the fact that Pedri did not even spend time in the Barca B. But for Pablo Torre, currently right now as we speak, Pablo Torre is playing for the Barca Athletic side. Even though there was a lot of transfer rumors lately linking him to a loan move to his former club Racing Santander, but the player will remain at the Barca Athletic side. So I think it's a great signing for the future. Hopefully, if he continues to impress there at the B team, then he will be integrated to play for the senior setup. Then the next, Andres Christensen, free transfer from Chelsea. Christensen arrived as a free. Before even coming, it was already agreed with the player that he will be coming on a free. It was something for about months ago when it was already clear that Christensen will be a Barca player, and Chelsea had already agreed that he will leave as a free agent. So far he has been playing a good game, no complaints. Xavi have been using him for some games and he has been doing a decent job. Then the next, Franck Kessié, another free transfer from AC Milan. Franck Kessié, who was one of the main players of AC to their road to winning the Scudetto last season, of course coming to Barcelona, adding something different. I think this signing was necessary because we need some physicality as well in midfield, not all about the flares. But come on, when we talk about physicality, it can help us a lot, especially in some games in the Champions League that we have been messing up in the past years. So I think Franck Kessié comes with a different dynamic in that midfield. He came as a free agent and it was already something agreed ever since with the AC Milan, with the player months before he finally came, that he will join Barca when the season comes to an end. And so far, he have never been starting games, but Xavi have been using him mostly in second halves. So let's hope that he continues to impress like how he did with AC Milan. Then the next, Hector Bellerin, free transfer from Arsenal. Yesterday deadline day, it was official. Hector Bellerin joined FC Barcelona on a free, a right back by trade. Barcelona really needed a right back by all means, knowing fully well that we can't go this season without a right back, as Sergio Dest was heading to AC Milan. And we can't count solely on Sergio Roberto as our right back because we know that Sergio Roberto is not that effective as a right back. So I think this was a great signing for me. He's still 27 years old and Hector Bellerin is a very good right back. The fact that Mikel Arteta have not been using him at Arsenal this season does not necessarily mean he's a bad right back. I think, he can adapt to the Barca style of play. Of course, mind you, let's not forget that he was once a La Masia player. He's born and bred in Barca, joined Arsenal when he was just 16 years old back in 2011. So great deal for Barcelona, even though he was the third choice for Xavi and co. But we hope that he continues to impress. Then the final incoming, Marcos Alonso, free transfer from Chelsea. Yesterday deadline day also saw Marcos Alonso coming to Barcelona. Of course, this saw him coming as Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang leaving to Chelsea. So it was like an exchange deal. But Chelsea added some money in that deal because we know Aubameyang had more value than Marcos Alonso. So it was imperative for Chelsea to add money to get Aubameyang, while Marcos Alonso came the other way. Of course, Alonso, Barca wanted to treat him separately when it comes to transfer transactions, but Chelsea kept on insisting that they want to include him in the Aubameyang deal, which Chelsea finally insisted and made it happen yesterday. So Alonso will be a left back. I think he'll be important. Alejandro Balde have been Xavi's top choice so far this season, and what we are hearing from reports is Alonso will be the second choice. Jordi Alba, who was shockingly linked with an exit yesterday to Inter Milan on a loan, it did not work out. The player himself rejected those rumors, saying that he wants to fight for his place. But now that Alonso will be our new left back, there will be high competition and Jordi Alba's time will drastically reduce. So all this sums up the incomings to 8 of them. What a great transfer window it was. 8 new signings. Incredible. So now let's talk about the outgoings. Philippe Coutinho to Aston Villa in a price worth 20 million euros. Coutinho, of course, having a very terrible spell at Barcelona, in my opinion. I think a move away from Barca was the best option for him in his career, which finally happened. He went to Aston Villa worth 20 million, and I think somehow he's doing a good job there compared to Barcelona. Barca needed to sell him. Xavi was not a big fan when coming as a new coach, and it was imperative that Coutinho would leave the club. Of course, initially it was a loan, but Aston Villa had to make it now permanent for 20 million. Then the second outgoing, which was the most talked about, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to Chelsea. It was completed yesterday. A price worth 12 million euros. So Chelsea paid 12 million plus Marcos Alonso in that deal yesterday. So Aubameyang, even though this came as a disappointment to most Barca fans, but it is what it is. Aubameyang is a world-class striker. Having Aubameyang as a backup to Lewandowski was great, but when we know Aubameyang is that kind of a player that likes to be a starter in any team, it was no surprise that he will go to Chelsea. Then the next, Ferran Jutgla going to Club Brugge in Belgium in a deal worth 5 million euros. 5 million euros. Ferran Jutgla have been showing a lot of promising signs when he was in Barca B, but Barcelona, he had no chance to play for the senior setup, so Barca had to sell him to Club Brugge. I come across some fans who are still annoyed that why Barca sold this guy so cheap. Only 5 million. Come on, why do Barca sell so cheap? But it is what it is. Ferran Jutgla has scored. From what I'm hearing, he's doing so well. He's doing so well in Club Brugge, and great signing for them. Then the next, Oscar Mingueza. Oscar Mingueza joined Celta Vigo on a free transfer. Oscar Mingueza. Oscar Mingueza so far have not been doing so well, even in his new club Celta Vigo. His first impression was causing a penalty in his debut, but it was so important. Oscar Mingueza had no chance to play under Xavi. Last season he did not play many games. Oscar Mingueza shocked many Barca fans because when Koeman was in charge during his first season, Mingueza was a player to watch. People saw Mingueza as the future top centre back for Barca, but it all turned out to be a disaster. Mingueza lost his form completely and had to be sold. Then the next, Ricky Puig going to LA Galaxy on a free transfer. Of course, this one also disappointed some Ricky Puig lovers out there. Of course, we all know Puig is a fan favorite. After frustration on the bench for 3 seasons, it was imperative for Ricky Puig to finally decide to leave the club, because it made no sense. How will you be staying at the club when 3 coaches will come, they don't even start you, and you are still putting your mind that you will start? No way. Initially, I thought Xavi would come as our new boss and even try to give Ricky Puig more game time compared to Koeman. But guess what? Xavi was worse. In fact, Xavi's own is the worst. Ricky Puig virtually sat on the bench throughout the whole season last time out. So it was for the good of his own career that he seek for a transfer away. Then the next, Martin Braithwaite. Martin Braithwaite, yesterday deadline, finalized his deal to Espanyol on a free transfer. Of course, Braithwaite, after a very long time tussling with Barcelona when it comes to his contract, finally left to Barca rivals Espanyol. So he's still there in the city of Barca, in the same house with his family, and don't want to go far because of his business ventures, according to reports. Then next we have Neto, the second choice goalkeeper, joining AFC Bournemouth in the Premier League for free. Of course, another player whose contract have been a talk of the town when he wanted to leave. He had 1 year left on his contract. Barcelona had no choice but to sell him because, he's not really that good, to be honest. Even the time when Xavi used him or when Koeman used him, he's not really that good when replacing Ter Stegen. When Ter Stegen was injured, when he plays, it was not that convincing. So Iñaki Pena is our second choice goalkeeper as it stands. So it was just so normal for Barca to sell Neto to another club, which they did. Then we have Musa Wage, who left for free to HNK Gorica. We have Ray Menage going to Watford for free. Dani Alves leaving for free to Pumas UNAM in Mexico. Francisco Trincajo, Sporting CP, loan, €3 million loan fee, 7 million buy option. Sergio Dest, AC Milan, loan, 20 million buyout option. Dest's own situation was the most talked about because he was a right back that Xavi did not count on, and interestingly, AC Milan made a very shock and late move for the player, because if Dest did not make that move, honestly, he couldn't have stand a chance to even play for the World Cup because Xavi had no plan to use him this season. Then we have Nico Gonzalez, left to Valencia on a loan deal. Of course, Nico Gonzalez had no chance because we know the midfield now is packed with we have players like Frank Kessié. We have a tight midfield. So Nico Gonzalez knew very well that there was no chance, and also how Xavi preferred to keep Miralem Pjanic as a backup to Busquets. So Nico Gonzalez had no chance to stay. So the best thing was to loan him out to Valencia. Then we have Clement Lenglet. Lenglet going to Tottenham in the Premier League. It is a loan deal. Lenglet also last season was not used by Xavi. Lenglet totally lost his form, and it was imperative for Barcelona to sanction this deal. It will be a loan deal. We have Ace Abde. Yesterday it was official. Ace Abde loaning out to Osasuna. But before Ace Abde did so, he did extend his contract, and a €200 million buyout option was there in the clouds. So he'll be heading to Osasuna on a loan deal. We have Alex Collado. Alex Collado heading to Elche on a loan deal. Then we have Samuel Umtiti going to Serie A side Lecce, a loan plus an undisclosed performance bonuses. So what a window that was. So talking about the outgoings, we have 19 outgoings, 8 incomings, 2 renewals, Ousmane Dembele and Sergi Roberto. 19 outgoings. I'm really baffled about the outgoings. It's really crazy. I think great business there for Barcelona. And for the longest time, when we have been talking about departures are necessary, departures are important, Barca have done that. In fact, they have overdone it. Up to 19 players have departed. And if you look at the players, they really deserve to leave in order to balance the team, to balance the books. So great job from Laporta, great job from the manager, Xavi, and great job for the sporting director, Matteo Alemany. So guys, what do you think of our summer transfer window? Because for me, I think it was 99.9% successful. So please, I'll be so happy if you leave your comments down below, analyze the transfer window yourself, and tell me how do you make of it? How do you see it? Do you see it as a great transfer window? How many percent? How can you rate it? I'm so interested to see how you rate it. Put it down on the comment section below. So with that, we have come to an end of this episode. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next time.